Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara's owner.
And I'm John Davis.
Welcome to Spirit Cafe.
Come in, sit down, and
grab a cup of love.
A Spirituality Without the Guilt podcast. Hello, and welcome to Spirit Cafe. And we are on episode 50. 2 more episodes till we reach a single year of doing all this stuff. And thank you all who have been watching us lately. We really have jumped up. We're about 1,000 hours away from the monetization level on the channel, and we've already broke 1,000 subscribers. So we're doing great there on YouTube, and of course on the podcast where we're getting picked up all over the place. So that's really wonderful. We are having a wonderful guest today who is very well credentialed and got some great stuff to talk about. I'm really excited to talk to her about several things in her resume on her website. And of course, before we bring her in, before I talk to her at all, I've got to bring in my my lovely what's the word? What was it? Compatriot of compassion, the lovely and powerful Tamara Zoner. Good morning, Tamara Zoner. How are you?
Good morning, John. I like that compassion part. Thank you.
I had to try to break myself in the other cycle, though. I'm constantly thinking cohort of crime. No, compatriot of compassion.
I was eagerly awaiting to hear what you would say.
It's funny about that. Me too. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. I just blurt things out, as you know.
I know. That's what we do here on Spirit Cafe. It's all, fly by the hip, seat of our pants, whatever you say. I don't even know what that saying is.
Well, we're shooting this on Zoom. I don't know about you, but I'm not wearing pants, so it really doesn't matter.
I'm actually in a dress today, so me either.
How'd you know I was? I'm not wearing pants. I'm in a dress too. No, I'm kidding.
You seem like a good skirt or maybe a kilt,
Oh, yeah. I look great in the kilt. I have got the big bulky look for it, so it's good. So, and I've worn a kilt many times. You'd be surprised how many times I've actually worn a kilt.
And I'm seeing you with like a giant sword across your back, and you probably crafted yourself.
Well, we have today a guest. When you read her about her page on her website, is like, okay, this is some real deal stuff here. I'm really excited about her. Do you know anything about her at all?
Only a little tiny bit, which is how I like it, because I read what I need to, and then I want to hear from her all about her.
Oh, well, there you go. That being said, let's go ahead and bring in, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring in Michelle Henderson. She is, so hang on, I'm going to try to read some of this. There's so much of it. She's a teacher, an educational diagnostician, behavior analyst for 30 years. She teaches children with autism. She wrote a book titled The 3 Elements of Social Skill Program. She teaches drama and technology. And she, if I'm saying any of this wrong, hopefully she'll change that. She opened the IASIS Learning Center, a nonprofit organization teaching children social skills through drama techniques. In conjunction with that, her intuition blossomed in her 20s, and visitations from the spirit world began to increase after retiring from education. Knowing she was going to serve the divine and offer spiritual services, Michelle obtained her ordained ministry from the Universal Life Church Ministries in 2019. And in 2021, Michelle became a certified spiritual advisor with the psychic and medium certificates through the Lisa Williams International School of Spiritual Development. So let us go ahead and bring in Michelle. How are you this morning, Michelle?
I am doing fabulous, but anytime somebody tells me what I've done in my life, I just get worn out.
I get worn out reading. That's why I have laryngitis, because of reading your bio.
Yes. It's almost like I was searching for myself all these years. Mm-hmm. And, I think it just built up into who I am now.
Wow. What an amazing, and there's a couple of things in here that I want to hit. First of all, working with autism has got to be very fulfilling. because I know that I've dealt with I also direct plays, and I've worked with the theater programs here at the Weathering Playhouse, and I was in the theater world for years as a fight director, and I know the kids that I've worked with autism, it's a very different method because they're so literal. You've got to hit them, and they, you say something, they're going to take it as that is the way it is, and it's a very unique method of teaching. Did you find it fulfilling working with them, and did you find it a challenge?
Oh, absolutely. It was very fulfilling. It was almost like I could read their energy. It's like I was drawn to them. And anytime I went out in public, I'd always run into an autism child sitting nearby at my table. So they were everywhere. But yes, so whenever I went through an autism program at UNT to learn more about how to teach autism children, I learned about the drama. And granted, I've never done theater or drama in my life. But whenever video modeling was first hit, the green screen was becoming popular. I told my husband, I said, we need to open up a center so we can teach this with children because they all are so literal. And then we'll teach a social skill. And then they get to do practice in front of a green screen. And, that just opens up a whole new world. You can put them anywhere. You can put them at the school. You can put them at the cafeteria. You can put them at the playground. And you did really good. It was called IACES Learning Center, and it stood for Imagination and Social Instruction Station. Wow. And then short for IACES. But that was before, nationally.
The acronym wasn't so widely accepted anymore.
Would you say, Tamara? I missed that.
I said that was before that acronym was not quite so widely accepted. Something entirely different. That wasn't a great thing.
Yeah. It sounds a lot like ISIS, but it's IASIS.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So that's great. All right. So we sidetracked somebody. Sorry. So all of this stuff led you to a spiritual awakening, obviously. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my goodness, yes. And I think the divine always gives us things that we need to finally have that spiritual awakening. But as a child, I always felt different energy in different places. And I really did not know what's going on. Sometimes it would scare me. Sometimes I was okay with it. And then it got stronger as I got older in my 20s. And of course, I grew up in Texas, and everything is very conservative, religious here. And I would tell my friends what was going on, and they'd be going, you need to close that door. Don't open it. It's scary. And so, I even went to my minister, and she said, you can just tell them not to contact you right now, because I was hearing voices. They finally started talking to me. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could hear them. And then, so I closed it, but I still used it whenever I worked with children. I would use my intuitiveness. And as I was doing research, it all made sense, because when I worked with children with autism that were nonverbal, I knew exactly what they were needing. And it seemed like we were almost communicating telepathically. And so when I did research, I went, that's exactly what happened. So I finally accepted it right before COVID happened, before all the restrictions happened. And I found a great mentor, Lisa Williams, during that time. And I really got in touch being a psychic medium. Wow.
So you say you could hear them. Was that like when I hear the voices, I hear them as like hearing someone else's thoughts. But every so often, I'll also get an actual hear the voice. Do you get it both ways, or just one of those ways?
Usually telepathically, whenever I was working with the kids, it's more of a feeling.
We
would connect that way. Now, whenever I connect with spirit, I can hear them talking. That's a little bit different.
Right. I totally get that.
Yeah.
Tamara, do you have anything you want to add to that so far?
Well, I always have the question for you growing up in Texas, deep in the heart. How did you feel about your own spirituality, and how was your family? How were they accepting of these sort of sensitive impressions that you would have? How was that for you? And did you try to like get rid of it, or did you just say, no, this is who I am?
Yeah, and that's a wonderful question, because my mother actually is very intuitive, and she brings, we say whenever you're out in public and spirits are all around, and sometimes she brings spirits home. Well, she does. And she'd always say, Michelle, I have another spirit with me. But with her, it scares her. So she knows exactly what I'm doing. She asked me, why are you doing it? And I said, because this is a spiritual journey. And I feel like I can heal people and help people that way. And this is truly what my soul needs. And this is me. And so she knows what I do. She finally liked my business page on Facebook, but we don't talk about it. That kind of.
I totally get that. My mom had her master's degree in liturgy and was head of liturgical doctrine at the Catholic Church that she worked at. And what I found really interesting is as she got older, I could talk to her about more spiritual things. And when finally she went to her priest and she said, Father, I'm really concerned about my son. He has this thing going on. The father said, don't get counted. It might be true. The priest actually had thoughts about it as well. So I think that it's becoming more accepted, because too many people are having those spiritual experiences right now that it's becoming very normal. And when I used to speak at metaphysical centers, a lot of times the metaphysical centers would share the space with the church, and it was interesting watching the metaphysical center grow as the church diminished and the parishioners were going away down below. And the more they went away, the more hateful and harmful they became to the metaphysical centers. They started doing graffiti on walls and everything else. It was really fascinating to watch. Anyway, I went off on a tangent.
I totally understand what you're talking about. Whenever I first came out of the closet as a psychic medium, I was on Facebook Live. And I just developed my page. I've never gone Facebook Live before. And I thought, okay, this will give me a chance to open up to whoever's out there, my members or whatever, people who like my page. Well, I started talking and explaining why I was becoming a psychic medium. And then I started seeing the names that said, they're popping on and watching you. And I'm going, they're not on my business page. And I realized I was on my personal page. And so at first I panicked, I going, should I go on? Just that vulnerability state. And I thought, what, Spirit probably put me here. I need to continue. So I continued, and I had more people accept it. And I was so surprised. I was more surprised than anybody. Even had a couple of people at church that wanted readings from me.
That's wonderful.
So I agree with you. It is becoming more and more accepted. And I think with COVID too, I think people are going to be looking and searching for more spirituality things, just so that they can find that hope and know, we're all going to be okay after this. So I think things are beginning to change just a little bit.
Yeah. So what happened for you around COVID? What were you doing before you decided to, and are you doing your spiritual work full time now? Or is it a slow shift? Tell us how that shift happened.
Okay. Yes, it is still a little slow shift, but I keep spending money. So, okay. So before COVID, I was working as a behavior analyst, and I had burned myself out from doing all the different things I had done, in my career. And I finally, I told my husband, I said, I've got to become I don't know, I was just being pulled this way. I've got to research. I've got to see where this is going to lead as a psychic medium and work as one professionally. And, he looked at me and he said, you need to go for it. And I remember back in the 20s when I asked him then, I went accepted, of course. And he was kind of one that kind of didn't really say no, but he just kind of left it. So, but now it's just like he's full accepting it. And he said, you've got to try and see where it leads you. So I did start classes when everything shut down, a 9-month class, of course, with Lisa Williams. And I met these wonderful ladies. There were 30 of us. And we would meet once, sometimes twice a week on Zoom. And they were going through the same experiences that I was going through. We all, connected. It's like I found my people, my tribe, and we became really close. And then whenever it ended this last July, we all met up in Buffalo, New York. And I was able to meet everybody, in person, which was wonderful. I am doing it full time as much as I can. But because of the book and everything and getting a publisher to help me and find, the finances. So I started working part-time in a school district again. And so I'm gradually getting there, but it takes, I understand, having a new business, it takes about 5 years before you can fully go full time.
Yeah, no, I get that. But you know what? It seemed like for you, the timing was just right. I mean, everything kind of fell into place. For me, I left the corporate world right because of COVID, but it was also the perfect timing for me to step back into my spiritual work. And so I think a lot of people took COVID as an opportunity to go back to their authentic self and being who they truly are and tapping into that space. I know that for people like yourself who are so credentialed and so have all this background, it's sometimes very hard to walk away from the ordinary jobs, the 9-to-5ers, right? And step into this work because this is so not 9 to 5. It is you're actually trying to fit around other people's 9 to 5s. And so do you find that the time constraints a challenge?
Not necessarily, because I tell them I set boundaries. And I, definitely have to set those boundaries, even with spirit. I tell spirit, I don't want to talk to a loved one after hours. I need to live my life. So I actually tune them out, and I've learned how to do that. So John, I'm with you, leaving the corporate world and everything, and knew that it was time. What do you do in the spiritual world?
Well, I do a lot of private sessions. It's a long story, but I remember a very specific past life, and I remember the teachings from that life. I rather than him and all, it's out there anyway. I remember the life of John, the beloved apostle, and I remember the actual teachings of Jeshua ben Joseph, and I came back out doing my spiritual work at the prompting of my compatriot and compassion over there who hit me with a cosmic 2x4, right? To come back out and do the work. And started my YouTube channel on September 10th. And by September 5th, I had 400 subscribers. And today I've got almost 3,000 subscribers. 4 months later, I've got over 200 videos online. But it's all about being truly my authentic self, putting myself out there, putting the teachings out, because the teachings were much more Buddhist than Christian. And so the channel, what the channel is basically a listing of my truth, my belief. And I expect no one to take my truth. And I expect no one to, I think that, as you said earlier, spirituality is a personal journey, and you have to find your own truth and follow that. So I don't want anybody to necessarily take what I say as true. I want them to use their own discernment and find what they truly believe. For me, it's true because I went through this experience. But how I make my living now is I walked away from the corporate world, and I do private sessions 4 days a week. And then I do meditation CDs. And right now, this morning, I've been sitting here working on a new online course. That's what I do now.
Well, it keeps you busy. That's awesome, though.
It does.
I think you're just like what you're talking about. A lot of people are in the same same way that they say, it just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. My previous job, my previous career. And you just reach that point where, it's not making me happy anymore. It's time to change.
Well, in your job, I mean, you were probably making okay money doing what you're doing too, right? Mm-hmm. Right. And see, same with me. I was making, every time I'd go speak, I'd make $10,000 for a corporate speech. Right. And so it was like, how do you walk away from that? Right. And then it was like COVID said, no, you can walk away from this because it's just not going to be there anymore. It's just not going to be there anymore. So yeah, I think it's great. I think that it was time probably for you and probably for me. And I know Tamara is on a massive growth right now with her business too, which is, I think people are looking for that joy. And, Tamara is an amazing trainer for happiness, taking people from that place of fear and anxiety and putting them into happiness. And right now, holy smokes, what do they want? They want to get out of their fears and anxieties and into happiness. So good job on that too. So.
Oh gosh, Tamara, that is awesome.
Thank you. And it's the same kind of thing, right? I was working in a corporate job as COVID hit and knew that it wasn't the be all end all, but it was a growth opportunity. And it was, it was feeding my kids and me and paying the rent. And I was on purpose. I was bringing my purpose into that experience as in senior living. And COVID provided this opportunity for deeper introspection, especially getting COVID right at the beginning of it and having 3 weeks off to really say to myself, am I in integrity working for this company? Or is it time to shift gears? And I think that Spirit really did speak to so many of us through COVID saying, no, here's your gear shift.
Right, right.
So many of you want this change right now, but you're afraid because money, right? So here, I'm going to help you know that this is possible through this massive worldwide change.
And I think your business is so needed right now. People need some positive reinforcement. They need to know which direction to go.
Yeah, they need the skills. Like happiness isn't just a thing that happens to us, right? It's something we put effort towards, and we develop skills and actions and habits that support our happiness. And people don't realize that they actually have to work at it a little bit, right?
Right.
Like anybody can be as happy as I am, but they have to devote themselves to the practice of it. And that's what they don't realize. And then when they learn the tool, it's just like, I can't fix a car without some good tools, right? Happiness is the same. Spirituality is the same. We have to utilize the tools that are available to us and learn how to really make the most of them. And then life gets sweeter and happier and more joyful and more connected.
And to me, Tamara, you're one that I could come to, in confidence. And because your demeanor and just your energy, it's like the trusting soul. I could probably just tell you my life story.
Here. Michelle, I got on a phone call with her to interview her from a different podcast I did. And at the end of that podcast, I was like, blah, 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 my entire life dropped out on top of Tamara's owner just because she vibrated it out of me.
Yeah. And I was just like, here, I'll hold this for you.
Holy smokes. It was crazy.
Well, thank you for seeing that, Michelle.
Oh, absolutely.
So Michelle, now I'm a bit curious about the mediumship stuff. So
yes.
Do you have to go through a process to get into state, or does that just happen?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, when you see it on TV, I always tell everybody, when you see it on TV, that is staged. I mean, everything is hooked up before and not every medium is 100%. They always cut out the ones where they're having the mistakes or whatever. We try the best that we can, and it's all in the interpretation. So whenever I got to tell you how I first started mediumship is I had my mentor and I said, I keep hearing these voices and, and she goes, that's mediumship. And I said, oh, but it's my voice. And she goes, that's mediumship. Because what they do is they use your voice because they don't have one. And they definitely would make themselves known before I started getting trained. So I thought either I'm going crazy or I am talking to spirit. So whenever I do first start, I always say an intention before I get started so that I can connect in. And I do have to raise my energy quite a bit to get there, because whenever you do mediumship, it's up here and the psychic energy is down here. So whenever I read for somebody and they're not for sure what type of reading they do, I always do mediumship first, because I get up higher and then I can come down.
Sure.
But yeah, and sometimes I don't feel them, but I know that they're there. And then all of a sudden I start getting information.
Right.
In the beginning, it was like Chinese water torture.
Well, it's kind of like you have to get into the tune of it. You have to get into the vibration of it, right? Because it's like,
absolutely,
if they're on the other side, they're at a different resonance, and you've got to bring yourself up to that resonance to get into the conversation, right? Right.
And everybody does it different, have different clairs. So whenever I do it, I talk to them like a little conversation, ask them questions. And the main questions I mainly ask for me is, what kind of memories did you have with this person? And what message do you want to bring out? What was important to you in your life? Because I've been taught, if you do birthdays and more evidential like that, somebody can go to the internet and look all that up.
Right.
But it's so much more valuable whenever you're talking about memories, because there's no way I could know about that.
Right.
And then sometimes they'll show me pictures, and then sometimes I just know the feeling. And the way that sometimes I get a no is because I get an interpretation, and I interpret it the way that I feel and think, which it may be totally different for that other person. So sometimes it's the way that you state it too. So if I used to, when I would hear no, I'd be going, oh, I'm doing terrible, and then that connection's lost because you get the ego coming in. And now I go, okay, I'll just dive back in. No worries. Just tell me no, and I'll see what I can do from there and see why I interpret it the way that I did.
Right. So do you want to give it a shot here today?
Okay. And you want me to do Tamara first, or do you want to?
Whatever you feel is right.
Okay. I'm going to come to Tamara first, because John, I think I already have someone here for you.
Oh, okay.
It's just very interesting. It's just like, I was drawn to you, which was telling me that you had somebody here. But before I also start readings is, do y'all give me permission to connect with your loved one?
Yeah, I was just doing that in my head, Michelle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just opening up for you and giving you permission.
Okay. And that's basically what it is that you are giving me permission to do this. And then do you want to know everything? I mean, if I start talking about something, especially being on air, and you don't want me to talk about it, say,
Michelle, I have the power. I have the power of the editing suite. This is being recorded. I can edit anything out I want.
And then John can edit if necessary.
That's
we're both pretty open books, I think.
Give it all, baby. Give it all.
Yeah, take it.
Okay. Well, I think I was going to go to Tamara, but John, let me do you first.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and set my intention real quick. I already have her here, but she's a pretty strong personality. She's going, no, me first. Okay. So who I'm getting here, and she's very, very, a very strong personality, and she's letting me know, because whenever I get validated, I get kind of tingles up here. So do you have a grandmother that has crossed over?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And this grandmother, and you may have more than one, but this grandmother, again, has very strong personality. And she's one that was like the queen bee of the household. Does this do you resonate with this?
It sounds more like my mother than my grandmother, but I didn't know my grandmothers very well.
Okay. Now, okay. All right. So you're saying that your mother was like the queen bee of the household?
Oh yeah. She ruled the roost. No doubt.
Okay. Your grandmother. Okay. So, and they may be both here, and sometimes they kind of piggyback together. But what I was hearing so loud was, my daughter took after me. So your grandmother was also such a strong personality that people would definitely do exactly what she said, that kind of thing.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Okay. And if you didn't know her very well, I'm just going to see what message that she has for you and to see if your mom's here, because whenever you don't really know them, it's really hard to get that
validation.
Validation, and just, the healing process as well. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to tell you what I just heard. She also, I don't know if your mom was like this, but she also, okay, I guess I'm going to
just say it.
Okay. And hopefully this has meaning. Okay. But I'm hearing, don't be a pussy.
Okay. All right.
Does this have, I don't know.
Oh, no. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. Okay. I heard that. I'm going, I don't know about women back then, but yeah. But I think what the message there for her is, don't be afraid of stepping forward, because there's something that you keep putting your little toe in the water, and you keep, going, and then you go back, and then you go, should I or should not do this? Do it, is what she's saying. You go for it. And don't look back. Okay. So move on forward and really trust your soul. Okay. Let me see if I can get your mother in here.
All right.
Does that resonate with you? Was that good?
No, that was good. That was excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. I know. I don't know if I've ever, if that's the first time I've had, Okay. So let me ask you this. So your mom is showing me, she kept showing me a purse, and that can signify different things. And it's almost like she was very prim and proper. I mean, very controlling too, but it's like she was well put together.
Huh.
Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, it sounds like they're flipped, because my grandmother was always very prim and proper.
Yeah, and usually a purse will show me grandmother. She just doesn't want to. Which doesn't surprise me. She doesn't want to step forward or step aside.
Yeah. Yeah, she was actually known for being prim and proper.
Okay. So, this will be the last thing, and then I'll go to Tamara. They're just saying, and sometimes they don't signify it or tell me more. They just say it, as you can tell. So what I'm really hearing is car. So it's almost like there's a car that was really important to your family. Can you think of a car or? Oh, okay. All right. So your dad, did he have a car that was really important to him?
He had a ton of cars, and none of them were ever any good.
Okay. Okay. For some reason, I had to bring that up, and then all of a sudden, I hear dad. So I think that they're just kind of, looking at that, just trying to give you some more evidence that they are definitely here with you.
Right. Okay? I get it.
I definitely feel the love, and they keep giving me goosebumps, which means everything that I'm saying was meant for you, and that's what they were wanting to tell you. Okay.
Perfect.
Move forward. All right.
And I won't be a pussy.
Don't be a pussy. Get in the car and go where you're supposed to go.
Well, after I'm done, I'll tell you a story about my prim and proper grandmother.
Okay, that sounds good. And as you can tell, I doodle, and that kind of opens up my my ego. Okay, so for you, Tamara, and it was very interesting because, and I'm trying to see who this is, but she was showing me, you know, you as a younger child, and you were rambunctious, you know, like, I don't want to say you were a tomboy, but it was like you wanted to explore everything. And it's almost like she's going, whoo, she wore me out. So, but she's telling me, and I'm saying she, because it's definitely a female, that was the most important, even though you wore out, was the most important years that she had with you. Okay. Okay, I'm asking her, okay, so her personality, and this is sometimes what happens, is whenever I start talking to him, I say, come here, come forward, you know, tell me who you are. And she's almost, her personality, she's very shy. You know, it's like very reserved. It's almost like she'll watch people before she starts talking. Does this make sense to you?
It might, if it's who I'm thinking
of. Okay,
of.
because I can kind of see the small bit, but it's almost like she is one trust. I think it was more she had anxiety is what I'm feeling. Whenever she was with a group of people she didn't know. So, and then she would only express her opinion when it was needed. She didn't want to make waves, that type of personality. But very, you know, I'm feeling very, very sweet. And reserved unto herself. Is this just a friend? Because I'm not really feeling that she was related to you.
It sounds actually more like my grandmother.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, that's especially when you said sweet and reserved. And
oh my gosh, yeah. Okay.
And I grew up next door to her.
And okay, I'm getting this feeling now. Did she die, pass over when you were a little bit older, but you weren't an adult? Okay.
No, I was an adult. Yeah, okay. She lived a long time.
Yeah, when you were a young adult, right?
Actually, I was in my 30s when she
okay.
Because I had already had 3 kids.
So last week.
Right. Last week. Okay.
Thanks, John. Never mind the silver hair.
Okay. And, you know, it's interesting that you brought up your kids too, because she keeps telling me that you're worried about them, that there's something, constant, but there's something that, okay, hold on. Constantly worried, but it's almost like, okay, so I'm hearing older. It's the older child that you're worried about the most. You know, that there's something going on there. Okay. And this is the reason why she's coming through. That with her personality, with her laid backness, with her, you know, accepting things as they are. She said, whatever's going on there, accept it the way that she would. Let it happen, because this child is going to need to learn. Is it a boy?
No, my oldest is a girl, and she's
okay. So she's going to learn on her own. Okay. And you've got to let her learn. And so you've got to kind of sit back in the situation and not voice your opinion. And it's hard to do. Does this resonate with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So with her, and I'll say one more thing. Okay. She just kind of like this, what I did with John, you know, I kept hearing car. I'm hearing hat with her.
I just opened up because I'm still moving out of one place into another. Just yesterday, I found about a hat, like a very classic hat from the 40s, and I put it on my head.
And that's it. Yeah. She's giving me goosebumps. That's exactly what it is. So whenever they do that, whenever they drop, evidence, she is definitely letting you know that she was there and she is with you. Okay. And I know that's really important for us to know that they're with us, and that you meant, so much to her. Remember those memories, Okay. And I think that was it. I think that's what was her message. It was kind of like her energy started going back, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. That's so beautiful.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that with y'all.
She's right here.
Oh my gosh. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Always with me. I wear a ring that I got when she passed on, and she's always in my most important spot right there. She's the only picture I even have in my office, and she's right here.
Yeah.
Well, that was spectacular. Holy smokes.
My favorite.
Well, and that, well, thank you. And again, that's just coming from spirit, and I just go with the flow. And, whenever, like the grandmother, when I was saying it's now, okay, I will say one other thing. Whenever I said grandmother, did you feel like she was one of your friends? That you could go to her?
Oh,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
she was my safe place because my home was a little crazy, and I could run down the hill and go hang out with Grams. Okay.
She was mainly, and oh my gosh, she left it. Okay. She really was, because, when you hear that, no, that's why. Okay. It's because she felt like she was more of a friend for you than a grandmother. Than the grandmother role.
Yeah.
So because at first, and then I started doubting. Anyway, I won't go into that.
I mean, you can. This is your interview, but
thank you. Well, thank y'all for letting me connect with your loved ones.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
That
was wonderful. We really were good friends. Like especially as I got a little bit older and was able to come and visit her and talk to her and spend time with her and just hear about her amazing life. Yeah, she was a special, special lady.
Oh, that is
human. In fact, she's the reason she's my favorite human.
Yeah, yeah. And on your hit on my very prim and proper grandmother, in her life, she was always very prim and proper. That's how we as children always saw her. She was always very snooty looking. And it wasn't until later in life we discovered that when she was younger, she used to get phone calls occasionally, and she'd write stuff down. And she was taking numbers for a bookie. right?
Oh my gosh.
Right. And whenever we tried to go into the ancestry of her side of the family, she would tell people, don't pull that string. Don't pull that string. Well, when you go into the deep ancestry of her side of the family, one of her ancestors was a concubine for one of the kings of France. And she was a very well-known concubine. And she was, I think my grandmother was prim and proper because she was trying to live down the fact that her ancestor was a whore, right? Basically. And so she had that.
What we were saying before, we all have our journey, don't we?
Right. Amen. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, this has been just absolutely lovely. And I really appreciate you sharing your gifts with us. It's been, is there anything you'd like to share before we go, and also tell people where they can find you and how we get a hold of you and get your services and stuff like that?
Okay, absolutely. And I really appreciate you inviting me to be a guest on the show. I had a great time, and you are both lovely hosts.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
But yes, you can find me at www.michellehenderson.medium.com, and I also have a Facebook page with the same name. And you can see my services and where you can reach me. But really, I just want to say, wherever you are during this COVID situation and just where we are now, things are going to change. And just know that there's hope on the other side of the mountain, and find people, like Tamara, to know how to be happy. So just really be your unique self and show the world who you truly are.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Tamara, you want to take us out of here?
I do. That was a beautiful and loving message to carry us off today. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here. And thank you, John, for your wonderful stories and big, boisterous laugh to carry with us throughout our days. Thank you so much, listeners and watchers on YouTube, for commenting and liking and sharing and just growing with us. It's been so much fun this past year, and we can't wait to see you on when, John? February
13th on Sunday at noon.
February, right? So hopefully this comes out before then, because otherwise it'll be past. But go back and watch the replay.
This is episode 50, so yeah, it'll come out before.
Cool. All right, good. And thank you. Leave your comments. We love to hear from you. And just remember how special you are and how important you are in this world. And we will talk to you again next week.
Thank you for joining us at Spirit Cafe, a place where you can safely explore your spirituality without the guilt or dogma of religion. Leave all comments and suggestions on the Spirit Cafe podcast Facebook page.